this going?
Hi, Vera.
Hi, Susan. What's going on?
Oh, this is so awesome.
Oh my God, it really is.
I love getting together with you, and this occasion of the launch of your book series, Don't Wait Till Your Mother is Dead. And guess what? It's actually not about her. It's about you and me and all of the people that are listening, right? My name again is Susan Jones, and I'm the co-founder of Empowering Women Alliance and authors in their book series, Empowering Women with Words. And that's where Vera and I met. Yay! And became unlikely friends that are inseparable. I am so excited to be here with you, Vera, regarding your book. And I want to thank you for inviting me to be on this crazy journey with you.
Mm.
And so, the first thing that I want to ask you is what actually inspired you to write this book?
Susan, I'm super excited to be here with you too. And it has been quite the journey, right?
Oh,
I mean, oh my God. So, and it's just going to get better from here, right? I mean, I just could feel that in my bones. Every day it just gets better and better. So why did I write this book? In 2020, I blurted it out without thought. It was the middle of COVID. I was with my family after a 2-week quarantine so we could finally come together. And we were about to sit down for dinner. And I said, I'm going to write a book one day and it's going to be called Don't Wait Till Your Mother is Dead. And everybody like kind of just stopped and looked at me. And I kind of stopped and looked at me too, because I was like, what? And I didn't know then. But that moment, like it actually set me on this 5-year journey,
mm,
that cracked me open, and it
mm,
actually saved me in so many ways. As I walked through my own fire, my own reckoning,
mm,
my own healing, healing that I'd been seeking for decades.
mhm,
And I discovered a whole new way to
mm,
live my life.
mm,
So that's where it all began. But this
mhm,
book isn't a set of answers. It's the story of a journey, and
mhm,
not only my journey, but humanity's journey, right? This is like bigger than me.
mm,
And, it's just an invitation right now, uh, for people to stop waiting, right? Because what are we waiting for?
mm,
And that's what we do. We live our lives, we wait, for things to change, for people to change, for situations to change. And it doesn't work that way. When those things changed? When I started to change.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Vera,
Change.
I have watched you over the last 5 years just really come into your own,
Yes.
like almost like a different human being,
Well, I almost,
characterized by your complete embodiment,
yeah, it's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Of freedom
And
and
that's what it is.
generosity, right?
Yeah.
And effectiveness in your self-expression and in your writing.
Well, thank you, because this work changed me. I call this a living philosophy, and it's not even mine. It kind of came to me, it was downloaded in me, and, with a direction to share it, and
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know like what
Hmm.
I'm doing. I have no clue, and that's really kind of the fun and the beauty of it all is that's
Hmm.
trust, when you just know, and then things start to change and my conversation started to change, and then
Hmm.
my relationship started to change,
Hmm.
and now
Totally.
I am watching
Hmm.
the women who are reading this work change too,
Hmm.
and like you've experienced some of them almost instantaneously.
Oh, yeah.
It's just it's mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing that I experienced is that it is completely validating.
Mm,
And and first of all, the title is such a showstopper, right? And then the subtitle, which is the kicker. It's not about your mother, it's about you.
indeed.
So, you write about in your forward, and then, in your yeah, it starts in the forward where you're writing about the three voices
Mm.
that you actually write in throughout the book. And I was wondering if you would share more about that.
Yeah, I could try. The first, I didn't set out to do that. It just became kind of like obvious to me as this work was pouring out of me that, a lot of it was geared, was coming from the voice of who I call the adult child,
Mm,
right? The part of me that was living in that ache and the denial and the estrangement from herself, the self estrangement, and that adult child finally had to stop pretending. And then
mm,
I noticed that some of my voice was kind of spoken from my perspective as the mother. It was
mm,
more of a raw, like unfiltered voice that was able to just pour out all the heartache and things about being a parent and messing up and loving hard and fighting for better, because we
mhm,
all want to give our children better, right? And
mhm,
even if we don't have children, we want to leave better for the world, and sometimes we find ourselves failing over and over because we're doing our best just to survive.
mhm,
And that's where those two voices of the adult child and the mother kind of came together. But the one that really, I think, stood out for me is when that third voice came through, and she was the witness. She was the remembering of who I was, who we are. We all have a remembering. We all have a
mhm,
witness
mhm,
inside. When we could let that witness come up, she kind of remembers who she is before all the chaos and the conditioning of the world takes over. And
mhm.
that's the voice that comes through. That's the
Yeah,
voice of truth. Am I making
it's
sense?
yes. And what happened to me is when I read that, the witness,
Mm.
the voice of remembering, something truly just rang a bell inside me. And I want to read you a couple lines from that because it's important. And you write, then there is the third voice, the voice of remembering, the witness, the adult, the embodied. She is the one who holds them both.
Mm.
She doesn't rush the healing or rewrite the past. She speaks from the place where love and truth are no longer at war. She is the voice of integration. She is all love, the kind that changes everything.
Yeah.
And then it says, let's take a breath.
Yes.
Right? And the
She,
reason that that struck me in the way that it did, because in some respects, I really didn't even know that I was hurting because I'd worked so hard all my life
mm,
to be self-aware. And when I read that part, I said to myself, there is hope
mm,
for being able to heal from what many of us are in denial about or don't even know that they're suffering.
mm. And you said it right, Susan. You did all the work. You're always doing work, and that's all head work. And this work takes us out of our head and into a deeper place in our soul, into our bodies where the truth actually lives. You know, and we deny that truth all the time. That's what humans do. And we bury it and we survive it and we fight it. And that's hard. Getting
Mhm.
through might feel hard because it is. It's, reckoning with yourself and all that stuff I mean, I'm 67 years old. It was a lot of stuff.
Well, I knew that because I've done an extensive amount of writing.
Mhm.
And I knew that there has been something going on with me that I actually then write about in the forward that you asked me to write. It's part of my testimony. And by the way, what an honor that you would ask me to write your forward.
Well, who else would I ask but somebody who just loves the work
Oh, I do.
has had a transformation of her own, like, in just a few pages. You called me after just reading the early chapters, and that's what's so mind-blowing about the whole experience is from you to so many others that are like, oh my God. And that was off the early chapters.
Oh,
Not
totally.
even the whole, because it
Mhm.
changes the conversation we have with ourselves. It
It does.
changes the relationship we have with ourselves. And that's why it's changing you.
Mm,
You're ready to hear it. When we're ready to hear it, God provides what we need to bring
mhm.
us through.
Yes.
And I think that's what this work is, what I'm finding it is for women that are calling me up and saying, oh my God, I this happened and I'm talking to this one and I feel so much better about, I let stuff go and it's just like it's overwhelming, you know.
I mean, it even starts with the subtitle. So the first part will stop you and make you curious, but it's the second part that literally has the ability to just cut right through it and touch that tender spot inside you
Mhm.
that you know is there. You just might not be able to get to it. So the subtitle, it's not about her, it's about you.
I think it works so well because I mean there is honestly no judgment in any sentence in the entire book because there's no judgment coming from me anymore because I'm not judging myself anymore and
Mm.
holding myself up against the standard of somebody else, right? And that's why this work I think resonates. Women feel it because it's like there's no judgment. They could be seen and validated and heard.
Yeah, and it's allowing,
Yeah.
right? And when, excuse me, when I looked at myself, like I really saw the pretense and the falsehoods that have actually settled deep within me
Oh yeah.
that I cloak with being really smart and intuitive and creative and insightful. However, I write as a coach and an empath. What I've seen, I've seen what happens when people try to heal without really feeling.
Yes, you can.
Okay. So that's me. And I
Most of
write,
us.
we can stay in that cycle for years,
Mhm.
numbing, but functioning,
Absolutely.
safe,
Surviving
but disconnected, right? Looking good while being a mess.
and miserable inside. You know,
Yes.
we know. We know the truth. And when we deny it, that's the battle. That's what causes cancer. And I said that to my doctor. I said, you know what? I caused that cancer. And he was like, no, you didn't. And I was like, no, that's my denial. And he removed it. And praise God, I was, didn't need more treatments than a couple of radiations, but that was like, I believe that was self-imposed. That was my denial. That
Mm,
had to come out. And if it didn't break me, it was going to kill me.
mm,
I mean, and it's just the truth. Anyway,
mhm.
Susan, this has been so amazing. And now it's like it's our turn. It's your turn. It's 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 our turn, right? So I want to invite, I mean, anybody who's listening to the recording, Susan and I are going to be running a book club.
Oh,
We're super excited about that. It's going to start on the 17th. So join us there. I'll drop the link below for you. And, we're just going to continue this conversation. And trust me, you don't have to come polished or pretty or professional. We're
oh,
coming raw and real and speaking just the way we
yes,
speak, right? Because
yes.
that's when I speak my best, when I first get started and I'm trying to be all prim and proper and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Right. I just need to be able to open my mouth and speak. And that's where the freedom comes from. So
Oh,
that's what you're invited to do, is just show up, and be you and see what happens from there.
order the Kindle on Amazon
Good idea.
and order the book. I did both of those today. And the very next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go online to Amazon and submit a review.
Submit a review. That really is the best. If you want to support this work, submit a review. Submit a review. Thank you guys so much. Susan, I just adore you. So I can't wait to do more. Bye.
Bye.